Now for a quick Devar Torah. In this week's Parsha, we have rules about the Kohanim, the priests who served in the Tabernacle, that they had to be physically perfect. They could not have a blemish, any sort of physical blemish. So the question is, what do we care? They're doing God's work. They're bringing the offerings. And the answer is that then you miss the point. They are representing the people. They represent us. And they represent God to us. So in other words, they have a really tough job. And as spiritual leaders of the Jewish people, they have to look the part. And people think, so what if they don't look the part? There is a thing that a leader really has to, because he has to always remember who he's representing. President Reagan famously would not go into the Oval Office except in a suit and tie, on the grounds that what the office represented. You should know that the President of the United States has 2 barbers on call 24 hours a day to take care of his hair. Stop and think about that. Our tax dollars at work. But the point is, remember, as leader, he represents us. The king of Israel had to have a haircut almost every day because of this. He represents the Jewish people. And this is why the Kohanim had to be physically perfect, because they represent us. It does not mean, by the way, that a Kohen was less of a Kohen, even though he had a blemish of some sort. He could still eat the truma, still partake in a lot of the things that are going on. He just couldn't do the offerings. He could not perform in the tabernacle or in the temple. He had to be, he had to represent, because he represented the people to God, and he represents God to the people. So he has to show the completeness of God as well as showing the people what they're going for. And remember also the Kohen, we have to be very careful who he marries. Like, what do we care if he marries a divorcee? What do we care? The answer is because, again, he represents us. We forget this major thing of being represented. Even though, say, the leader of Israel, Joshua, famously married Rahab. Remember as it's put euphemistically, she was an innkeeper in Jericho. Okay, and we know that she charged by the hour, you might say. But because of her help for the Jewish people, she merited marrying Joshua. So Joshua was on a different level. He was not representing us to God, and he wasn't representing God to us. So remember, the reason for the non-blemish, that the Kohanim, the priests, could not be blemished, is what they represent and to whom they represented. Something to think about.